Janine, hello. Can you
David.
tell me what is a coaching conversation?
Yes. Well, I'd like to start by telling you what I first thought a coaching conversation was. So when I went into my own coach certification program, I had a very distinct idea of what it was because I was sort of the person that people would always come to and I'd always be helping people. So I sort of thought, coaching conversation meant that you were formally giving people advice and helping them along and giving them ideas. And I very quickly learned that that was not what a coaching conversation was. Coaching conversation is really a shift from that to one where you're really encouraging the person to process on their own and come to their own conclusion. So it's a very peer-to-peer kind of conversation. So quite different than what I first thought.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, I do know that other conversations often resemble coaching conversations. So can you tell me what are the close cousins to
Yeah.
coaching conversations?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the one I just described when I went into my program for sure is sort of that mentor advisory kind of role where it's usually, you've got more experience in the person in a particular area, you're giving them advice, you're sort of shepherding them along. So that's one version of it, which is quite common. The next version obviously is therapy, which is a really close cousin and coaching, depending on how you do it, can butt right up against therapy. The difference is in coaching, you might get down to some deep realizations about maybe core beliefs that are driving behavior. The difference is, however, that, in therapy, you'll really do a deep dive backwards, as opposed to in a coaching conversation, what you'll do is take that realization and sort of apply it towards the person's coaching goals and look a little bit more forwards. Like now that you know that, what needs to happen to make you have a shift in whatever behavior you want to have. And, there's also, of course, like teaching, which is literally teaching, where you are providing information, the person is taking it in.
I see. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Finally, what would you say are the qualities that characterize the role of a coach in a
Yeah.
coaching conversation?
Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, you need to be quiet as a coach. That is probably the biggest shift in conversation style that has to happen when you move from a regular conversation or a feedback conversation to a coaching conversation. So learning to just sit in silence and be okay with that becomes a superpower. So, that's sort of an adjunct to active listening, which many people have heard of from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that's really listening, like that's full body listening. You are 100% tapped into the person, looking for body cues. 0% of your brain is focused on what you're going to say next. It's one-on-one with you, and then sort of being able to reflect that back to a person and make sure that you understand it correctly and let them add. And then finally, it's the ability to ask powerful questions. So they are usually very short, very sweet, very little preamble, no opinion, and never binary. Never can be answered with yes or no. I think I covered it. I think those are the coaching conversation superpowers that you need to bring into it.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you.